Alright, so welcome back into another Dragon Ball Super Card Game video. This one is going to be a breakdown of the two events that happened this last weekend. I did commentate one of them, which was the TAC webcam event, and then I didn't go to the other one, which was in Arizona. But we're going to take a look at both of them. Let me know if you did participate in these. If you ever want to be on the channel or something and you have a unique deck list, something that we haven't seen before, and it edged into the top 8 or top 16, definitely let me know in the comments below. Hit me up in the Discord. The description is in the the link is in the description as always, and definitely like and subscribe, all that other stuff. As we get into this, we do have some information here as far as the both events. If you didn't know, if you're under a rock, if you just didn't know any of the information for both events, it's going to be in the description below for the links, and includes all the information as far as like format and what you need and where it was and etc. But a quick breakdown was for TAC games. It was all completely online / webcam. It was over Discord, and it did have 180 or 127 players with 128 player cap. The only reason why I know that is because I was supposed to participate into it. I had my ticket and everything, but I ended up commentating instead. So obviously I was the odd man out. And then also it is a best of one with Swiss with no top cut. So it was basically anybody. It was up to all the rounds, which was 6 rounds, I do believe, 45 minutes each, and up until 1 undefeated. So pretty typical for all of these webcam events. If you haven't checked out my previous webcam events, sort of like discussion in my previous video, definitely check that out as well. As far as PPG, this was held in Arizona. It was hosted, well, I guess in the Twitch. I'm not sure as far as like the area, but by Team Intricate, I forget, or escapes me which locals it was, but it was held at a local. So most of these PPG or Pro Play Tour events are all going to be at like local game stores. So if you haven't seen that, if you haven't took a look at all of that other stuff, they're all going to be pretty much at local. So it's just sort of how PPG is supporting them in this kind of weird time. But there were 40 players. This was in person, best of 3 Swiss with a top 8 cut, and of course the list of the top 8, which I'm not going to go through all of them. I don't think I'm going to go through any of them. I'm just going to have a kind of a like a highlight overview or in the description below, and I might pop out or talk about 1 or 2 lists for both of them. When it comes down to the top 16 for PPG Arizona, we have 1 Bulma, 2 Soul Striker, 1 Baby, 1 Gotenks, 1 Broly, Red Broly that is, 1 Vegex, shout out to John, Bamahama, and 1 Jiren, which is really interesting. We can always take a look at that Jiren list as well, but honestly that is really cool to see a top 8 Jiren. Also very cool to see a Bulma and as well as Blue Baby, which both of those are interesting for best of 3. I always kind of doubted Baby, especially going into this new draft box where anybody can side into Baby with the new 1-drop barrier counters. I think we're not really going to see anything coming out from Baby because of that, or at least the power level of it and what they have to kind of play around, or that's something they have to play around. Is going to go down basically. You know, we're not really going to see it in the coming months after that release, and people being able to play that in their sideboard. And really not surprising to see 2 Soul Striker in the top 16, or the top 8 I should say, probably more in the top 16. And as far as what won the event was Kevin from the Dudes, all the way from California, if I do remember correctly, at least from the west side. I'm not sure if everybody's in California, but still. This is his deck list. This did have the Catapesla line in it. So the 1, 4, 5, and 6 all being played as a play set. And then we also had all of the good stuff, like the blue good stuff, from Bean to Baby Unison to Trunks God Sealing, the Baby Golden Avenger, and of course the Super Saiyan 3 Gogeta 1 of, which I would recommend, or at least not recommend, but I would, if I was playing this list, I would at least play 2, because then that's just more consistency for Awakening. And it is also really good. Just seeing in person and just in action for this type of list, which we're going to look at in a second. The reason why I say that, from taking a look on the webcam game perspective, I think that's just a really good card for Soul Striker. Not only getting a 20k attacks, being able to remove something, and if you play Goku and hit, which the next list we're going to take a look at does, it is really, really strong. And it's one of those things where, you know, I think Marcus Cantarsi, if you watch Couscous on his stream and just watch him religiously or just watch him in general, he's been having really good success with Soul Striker. And it really makes sense as we kind of go. Well, before we get into that, as far as the sideboard, I'm very interested to see how he sideboarded for certain matchups. I'm guessing Max Power Saiyan is for the Red Gogeta matchup or anything that plays bigger monsters. Kosakai for Topo and things like that, especially if you're playing Obuni. Dark Power Mass Saiyan affects a lot of different matchups from Red Broly and more. And then Borgos, maybe the mirror match, which is probably what Borgos is for. And Group Leader Pilaf can probably be for a lot of different things. Mekiobora for Red Broly, Gotenks, etc. Mafuba, same thing. And then Fu Shrouded, not in the main, because we are playing the one of Secret Identity for the Overrealm spot. So interesting to only have one of the one-ofs for the Overrealm, but I'm not knocking it. The whole Catapesla line is really, really cool. It is super, super strong. It gives you removal. It gives you dual attackers. It gives you a negate. It gives you a barrier, double striking critical boy, just to give you more pressure. So this overall is a really cool list. I love it. I'm glad to see it have some success as well and win that entire event, especially in a best of 3. So very, very cool. And then we also have the other event, or the TAC Games web cam event with the other Soul Striker, the other end of Soul Striker. And the thing about this is that it is a best of 1, but he did go undefeated in the 6 rounds that we did play for that. And me seeing this while commentating, which hopefully I can put a link in the description below for the DBS decks, and shout out to them, shout out to Aspira. I didn't really put that out there, but shout out to him since he did co-commentate with me, and Mark, as well as DBS Decks, a team from there, and as well as TAC Games, all allowing me to commentate. So I really do appreciate all of that, and it really had a lot of fun and got some good feedback for it. But for this, for Nate, as I understand, he is a kid. He is under 18. He just knocked everybody out the park. He played 13 negates in this thing. I'm pretty sure, because we were talking about the list at the end of the stream. We're kind of breaking down everything. But overall, like, what the deck wants to do, as in turn 1 through 3, basically setting up until the Baby Unison, the Mechiorp, just getting these 1k attackers, and then playing a booty on 4, and now you have all of these attackers, including your leader, plus free energy from your leader, plus the Goku hit, tapping down different leaders, battle cards, etc., and just being more defensive with the Zamasu into Goku and hit, and then also having the Super Saiyan 3 Gogeta championship card that I was talking about before, in which, you know, like boom bada bing, now you have Goku hit in a as a blocker and being in rest, and now you can't take any hits. So there's a lot of different things going on for both of these lists. This one plays more of a blue good stuff with the Baby Secret and All Too Easy, giving him even more defense, and then the really cool tech of the 2 of Kefla. I don't know how many times he actually did play this, because there's a back and forth for this card. It does get hit by God Sealing, it does get hit by Frieza, but other than that, like, the thing about that card is that the longer it stays on the field, the more value that this deck gets, really any deck gets. And then basically because you're playing the Mechiorp, you're playing the Trunks Heroic Prospect, and everything else, including a Boonie, you're just going to have more and more cards to reduce the cost of this. And even if it is like a 4-drop, a 3-drop, etc., you still have the leader to untap the 2 and be just okay. But overall, really consistent deck, a lot of playsets of everything, 4-ofs that is, in which even for the Goku and Apes, you're just going to be defending and comboing out early attacks and being able to draw those 2 and just draw from everything else. But it is really just to show that, like, in the inclusion of the Baby Unison, being able to -5 and being able to play this guy for free, or really 2 cards, being able to really basically have a draw 3, because you're going to be playing this, draw for 1, draw this, and then untapping 2 is super, super strong. And every single time, or every single turn that you have, with all the negates that you have from the Whis, to the Murky Orb, to All Too Easy, plus the Baby Unison being just broken and just stopping the opponent's turn. And then anything that they want to do that doesn't have Deflect is going to be stopped as well through the God Sealing. So there is honestly no surprise that Soul Striker is doing well when you really break it down and take a look at how much it has a really good matchup against a lot of different decks, right? And I could be wrong, but this is what I've seen, this is what I experienced, this is what I played, and overall, really good showing from Nate and as well as Kevin for that. Now, before we end the video, again, I'm not going to go through all of the lists. There's a lot of them. I don't think there's a top 16 breakdown for the attack games unless I missed it. If I did miss it, just put it in the comments below, or someone to reach out to me, and I can always put it in the description as well. But you have access to all of the lists. I do believe for the top 8 for the PPG event, and then all the lists in general for attack games in the description below. So definitely check those out. The things that the decks that I definitely wanted to see was this Jiren deck. This card right here, I'm very surprised actually to see it being played. I actually even forgot this has barrier and reduces by 2, and the card attacks use up to 1 of your battle cards in rest mode and can't be switched to active mode. So a 19k attacker for 1, that's pretty cool, and just another way to stop the opponent from swinging, probably for the Gotenks matchup if I had to take a guess. Also really good for the Gotenks matchup is this, in which you combo to defend, it gets played, and then because of dual attack, they get to switch to active mode, and then you play it, and then you switch it to rest mode, and then you kind of prevent that from being able to swing twice, or even just in general if they swing with leader first. But most of the time, good Gotenks players won't do that. Anyway, so the 1 of Great Ape, that's pretty cool. Another 4 of the Zamasu, probably mitigating any of the aggro decks, and as well as even Reboot Gohan. That's another thing I didn't mention before, but in best of one, having 4 Zamasus or being able to play with those 4 Zamasus is probably really good to mitigate, again, those Reboot Gohan decks. We do have even more. I'm probably guessing that this is like a budget option. This is going to be the cheaper version of the Great Apes. You might as well be playing this because you're paying the same amount of energy and the same type of energy, I guess. So might as well do that. We do have the 10-drop Absolute Justice Jiren. That's actually insane. And then we also have all of the yellow good stuff from the apes, the Gogeta, to the other 12 drops. Oh my god. Okay, well, I dig it. I actually really dig it. So 1 with the effect, 1 without. And in case you forgot what these guys do, this one is Deflect, and if you have 9 or more in your drop area, 9 or more universe 11, that is, you reduce it by 6. It is a 6-drop, and then they can't negate or block, basically. They can't activate a counter or block. So you're swinging with 40k quadruple strike with all the cards that you have in your hand. And you also have the normal blockers, the Avon, the Kunchi, this guy, which you can, I do believe, I don't think anything is being rested by him to rest something, but I guess it's just adding a little bit of consistency to get this guy out and be able to pitch cards and cycle through your deck a little bit more. But pretty interesting sideboard as well. This guy probably for Dark Broly. Dark Broly probably really hates this card, if I had to take a guess. Mechiobora over here, someone has to explain that to me. Probably, I mean, this is just a really good card in general. Really good control unison, and probably better suited to kind of get you guys, or get this card, or get the deck to these guys instead. Max Power Kamehameha, I kind of really talked about that, mating 2, getting more and more. Dark Broly, Red Gogeta, etc. Giant Ball, probably not sure what this is specifically for, but I'm guessing for anything that doesn't have Deflect. And then we also have Restrain, Time Magic, more than negates. The other 2-drop, the Broken Seal for the things that I mentioned before. Piccolo is an interesting one as a counterplay, and anything 4 or less is getting the skills negated for the turn. Maybe for Topo, maybe for something. I don't imagine this deck has any issues with Topo, but that's the only thing I can kind of think of. I'm curious to hear from you guys. And then Cooler, the 1 of in the sideboard, and then the Fu Shrouded, always a good sideboard card in general. And then once we have this Bulma deck, which from the looks of it, it has like the anti-meta, shout out to Brohan, anti-meta sort of combo in which we have the Jiren, Topo / Gogeta mashup here, and with the Broly secret. When it gets going, it can't really be stopped, especially when we have blockers here. We have these guys as blockers technically, but I don't think that's really going to happen too often. Then we also have the one hit wonder, interesting tech there. They also have the sideboard with a lot of red-green. I'm wondering what this is sideboarding for. That's actually interesting. I guess more of a burn type of aspect here. The one of Vegino Unison, also curious to see how often that was being played. And then the Crown of Retribution. Overall, really cool deck. Awesome to see in top 8. I'm curious to see this in as far as matchups and how they went. All right, that kind of wraps it up. I didn't really want to talk too long. I have other videos to work on, and I really don't have that much time to do that, unfortunately. But hopefully, in the coming weeks, you'll see some of these draft box decks that I've been working on, some other discussion, and as well as some top 10 stuff. But definitely let me know in the comments below, what do you think about these events and what will be next? How will it be changed? How will it change? Will we have sort of this more diverse meta that we have going on? Do you think Red Broly as TPs will be more available, will be more dominant? Do you think Soul Striker will stay on top, etc.? Other than that, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.